Are you ready? Well, let's go. Welcome back, guys. Well, today Royce and I are out on a nice snowmobile ride. It's a beautiful day. We've had some sun, we've had some cloud. It's gonna get up to -2 today, I think, and right now it's probably around -10. So gorgeous day out in the woods. I'm gonna make a little bit of tea and let's chat about off-grid neighbors. Just gonna go off the trail here a little bit and grab some balsam fir. Just grabbing the needles here. Oop, on the branch. Sun's just trying to peek through there. It's a little bit brighter earlier, that's for sure. We keep getting little bits of snow here and there. Snow in the woods. It's about up to my knees right now, so definitely not as much as we've had in the past, but just pretty enough. Well, my tea's just getting warmed up there. Let's introduce today's topic. It's about off-grid neighbors. Certainly if you're in the near north or southerly than that, you may run into neighbors at your off-grid property. There's been some situations with some other YouTubers that have actually had to leave their property due to disputes with neighbors and move their cabin someplace else. So let's delve into that topic today. So I think now more than ever in the last year or so during the pandemic, a lot of people have made moves off-grid or to more rural areas. And that's awesome. It's wonderful. There's the peace, there's the solitude, but it also means that people are running into new neighbors. I know in the last year, I think you guys remember from one of my videos in the summertime, property nearby ours went up for sale and went for quite a hefty price actually and was bought very quickly. And so now I've got some new neighbors that I have yet to meet. So it made me think about the topic and of course some other things going on online in regard to neighbors. So try not to get any needles in here. Not so much for that. Tease up really good. Well, I must say in the last 7 years I have not had any conflicts with neighbors, and that's really awesome. Really fortunate that way. We have 170 acres here, so I mean just due to sheer distance I haven't had any major issues. And also I attribute my success without having issues with neighbors is open communication, getting to know my neighbors. So I know a few of the neighbors here. And of course, my other neighbor is Mother Nature at the back. There is crown land behind us, so I don't have anybody behind me. There's thousands of acres of crown behind me. I do have neighbors on the other 3 sides, and I know them all except for the new person that came in last year. And I've yet to kind of see them go to the property, so I haven't yet had a chance to introduce myself. But really important, with off-grid properties that you get to know your neighbor and you build up a line of communication and trust with them so that you can feel comfortable talking to them if you have any issues that come up. Another thing that's really important, in addition to knowing your neighbors, is actually clearly marking your property boundaries so that people know, where your property line starts and where theirs ends. On several areas of our property, we have marked off big red circles or signs that indicate no trespassing, that, this is where the new property line starts. So there's no question as to where the property line is. One issue that came up in the last couple of years was one time I came here in the summertime and I noticed that the property line was becoming very evident, that one of my neighbors had sort of made very, very clear the property line was by using a brush hog and sort of, taking out some, shrubs and small trees and cutting grass around the property line at one end of the property, that their property abutted onto ours. And so rather than, freaking out, jumping to conclusions that, some kind of a statement, or that, they're going to put in a mega cottage or something like that within view of the cabin, I didn't go overboard. And what I did was I contacted them and said, hey, I noticed you've been doing some work at the property line. Is there something that you need to, were we, overstepping our bounds on the property line or something like that? And the individual replied that no, he was actually doing that just because he was having extra family visitors to their property there, and he wanted to make it abundantly clear to them, where the property line was, so that there were no conflicts. I thought that was really nice. So again, another situation where it could have been blown way out of proportion, but simple bits of communication, with the neighbor sorted everything out. There was nothing unusual going on there. It was just making sure that the line was visible for everyone who wants to enjoy their property, so that there's no conflicts with us. Really important when you're getting an off-grid property, not only being aware of, the boundaries of the property, if you're moving into a new place and getting to know your neighbor, but also if you do abut onto Crown land, you need to be aware that there could be some activity on that Crown land. Crown land is beautiful. It's wonderful to camp on. There are logging rights on Crown land as well. So you have to be aware that if your property backs onto Crown land, that it may be used for logging purposes, or someone may set up a camp there for many, many days on end. So that is within their rights to use the property. So just be aware of that. Don't be surprised. These things can happen. Also being aware, if there are rights to any of the minerals or things like that on your property, that you may experience, people coming onto the property looking, for the mineral rights and things like that. So again, that's some really important bit of information when you're moving off grid to learn about that. What are the uses of the Crown land surrounding you? Will there be a logging plan in place there? Or will anybody be harvesting, looking for, minerals or things like that? So very important to know that ahead of time, so you're not surprised. A lot of properties also have road allowances around them, and that you'll get from your survey of your property. So just being aware that road allowances, may look like, the forest behind me, but they actually give the township, permission to basically open that up and turn it into a road. So behind our cabin, behind a lot of the, properties that abut onto the Crown land, there is a road allowance. That can be opened up, turned into a road, and you can get some vehicular traffic where you weren't used to it before. You're used to your solitude, your lots of acreage behind you, but now, they may open it up. So there's more traffic flow or easier access into a logging area. So just be aware of that. Many people aren't. And if you were to build a cabin, say close to a road allowance, thinking, you're at the very back of your property, it's super peaceful. Well, now you may be right on a road, you see a lot of these old farmhouses and homes along major highways. And there was a road allowance there at one point. Before, there may not have been. You may have had a really peaceful, tranquil country property. But now, maybe there's more people coming into the area that need a bit more traffic flow, or there's some development going to happen. They're going to put in some, windmills for power. They're going to, do some logging. So they need to open up a road, and that's where it's going to happen. So please be aware of that so you're not startled, and then your peace and quiet is interrupted. Of course, if you want the utmost peace and quiet on your property, you may want to build in the center so that you have the maximal distance from your neighbors if you're worried about them at all. And that would probably be your safest bet. But not everybody has that luxury. Sometimes a lot of property spaces are fairly small these days. Your little slice of heaven's getting smaller and smaller. And, more conflicts can arise. I know I had a family member that had a cottage on a very big lake, and the next door neighbor wanted a shed and put it directly on the property line, obstructing some beautiful views. Of course, that was not allowed. You can't build right directly on a property line. And unfortunately, the neighbor didn't want to back down, and unfortunately had to go through bylaw and some legal means to get that shed moved. And then, the whole situation's kind of ruined. You don't want to go there because you don't want to run into the neighbor. It's just something that could have been really avoided. I think people just need to be kind to each other, and you need to realize, would you like someone doing that to you, sticking something right on, or right near the property line, obstructing a really nice view? I think we need to be kind to each other and to open the communication, really, so that things like that don't happen. So neighbors aren't a bad thing. Neighbors are really great to have around, especially if you're more remote. They can help you out in your time of need, get you help, help you, cut trails, and just someone to hang out with, to reduce isolation. But unfortunately, a lot of people run into conflicts with neighbors, and I think that off-grid, there's really ways to avoid this. One, open up the channel of communication, get to know your neighbor, get to chat with them. You don't have to be their best friend or anything, but you may want to just get to know them a little bit better, so if something comes up, you're not so shy to speak to them about the issues and find out what's going on. Also a little bit of planning, knowing where you want to put your cabin, knowing where the road allowances are, knowing what the uses are of some of the surrounding land, that you're on is really important, so that, when things come up, you won't be surprised or shocked. And of course, obviously accepting that people are going to be people and they may do things that you may not like, and we all have to give each other a little bit of slack. And again, communication is king. The raven over there giving me its opinion. Well, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments about today's topic on off-grid neighbors. Have you guys had neighbor issues? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you have any tips for us, leave them down below as well. Well, I'm really enjoying these trailside chats with you guys. I was wondering if you guys wanted to do a question and answer one coming up soon. If so, you can message me your questions or put them down below in the comments as well, and I'll put together a little show trailside for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful week as always. Take care.